organizations begin planning SCIF upgrades to meet updated ICD 705 and TEMPEST requirements, one of the biggest challenges is understanding how these changes affect building infrastructure and design decisions. So today I'm talking with Greg Brenner about what's changing and what facility leaders should be thinking about early on in the planning process. Greg, to start, can you explain what TEMPEST countermeasures are?
So in general, TEMPEST requirements have always been there, but in the past, ICD 705 SCIF facilities weren't always required to have TEMPEST countermeasures. TEMPEST countermeasures care for the safeguarding of RF frequencies emanating from within the SCIF.
And why do they matter for SCIF facilities?
TEMPEST countermeasures requires us to create basically a Faraday shield around the entirety of the SCIF, and creating this total compartment where RF, radio frequency, is not able to emanate from within the SCIF to the outside world.
So what I'm hearing is that TEMPEST requirements are really about preventing signals from leaving the SCIF. But as I understand it, they also have a major impact on how infrastructure is designed inside the facility. How are they changing the way infrastructure is designed? Can you provide a specific example?
Any necessary infrastructure that's supporting the operation of the SCIF. So manufacturing facilities, there's a lot of electrical infrastructure. There's a lot of processed piping infrastructure. And so if it's an existing facility, there's a potential that may be coming in multiple locations. And so ICD 705 current guidelines are really focused hard on one distinct location for all penetrations. And this is to help identify and inspect those locations and not having to go to multiple areas within a SCIF.
Beyond the penetrations that you're talking about, how are other building systems like electrical, IT infrastructure affected by these requirements?
So when power goes into the SCIF, all that now has to be separated, not just on high side, low side on the IT, but also red, black on the electrical. And so that requires a lot of coordination as it comes across the ceiling plenum, and then as it gets into the furniture and how it runs through the furniture to serve those distinct needs.
So once teams understand these infrastructure impacts, why is it so important to evaluate them early in a project?
At the end of the day, you need to get the facility accredited. And you need to be able to assure yourselves and your clients that when the accrediting officer comes back to do their testing, you're going to pass. And so you can't take chances early on with the hope of passing at the end of the day. You need to make sure that the construction is being done properly, the procedures are well informed and in place, and that as you move forward, things are being inspected timely to make certain that at the end of the day, you're assured you're going to pass.
So it sounds like if those issues aren't addressed early, projects can run into challenges later in the process. Can you talk a little bit about what can happen if teams wait too long to think about these impacts?
The first thing that really happens is you go through a redesign effort based on the design that was put forward. So what our team endeavors to do is to, at the onset of the project, identify in a pre-construction security plan development how we're going to care for all of the requirements that are documented and the requirements that are not documented, but that we're seeing through the hundreds of thousands of square foot of SCIF design, construction, and renovation that we're doing across the country. The worst thing that can happen is you then move forward with construction. And as the accrediting officer comes out to do their inspections, they identify additional things that they want to have done because of the fact that this is a ever-changing environment and the security threats. If you think about how fast technology moves, it's changing every month. And so when these security threats do come up, the accrediting officers are trying to push forward with all these SCIF upgrades to make sure that they've captured the latest and greatest, even if it hasn't been published yet. So fortunately for WB, we are integrated very closely with our security client teams, and we're able to address those as they come up, and also inform our next project or evolving projects of things that are happening based on the accrediting authority or the three-letter agency requirements, to make sure that with our other projects across the country that we're not getting tripped up later in the game.
And what advice would you give facility leaders who are starting to plan SCIF upgrades?
Make absolutely certain that the folks that you're working with to support your project have done SCIF facilities within the past 24 months. If you're relying on folks who designed facilities 3, 5, 7 years ago, they don't recognize what's not published. And that will get you in trouble every single time.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate you talking to me today about how understanding these infrastructure impacts early on can help teams plan SCIF upgrades more effectively. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.